You know, ideas are like viruses or like memes. They're all the same thing. They propagate. They start somewhere. There's a patient zero or something like that. Maybe it's a lab somewhere where it breaks loose and all of a sudden it transmits through a population. Before long, maybe you have a bunch of millions of zombies everywhere, out for blood and brains. Or you have people telling each other that they grew up privileged their whole lives, even though they were poor as shit and lived in a very diverse area where people never felt better than each other. At least I never did. You know, what I'm talking about. I'm talking about white privilege. No one's still really explained it to me too well. Because, I studied social sciences at Bergen Community. Most of my professors were black people. The dean was a black guy. Took a couple sociology courses with some black magician dude. they were all some of the best professors I ever had. They were just chill people. They grew up real tough, poor neighborhoods in New Jersey. I mean, if anything, they felt privileged just to live through it. But you never talk about, you never told us that we were privileged just for our skin color. Because, I mean, come on. Do you really need to be the dean of a university to know that looking at the color of someone's skin and thinking you know anything about them, about where they grew up, how rich or poor they earned what they got, or they took it, or if it was given to them, their parents were there for them, foster kids, smart, stupid, drugs, just clean, sober. Yeah. It's just, that's just how you grow up, how you live. That's what your life is like. It makes you the person you are. Some things you can help, some things you can't. Well, one thing that really shouldn't fucking matter too much is the color of your skin. Now, of course, it sucks to be black and get stopped by a cop because they're afraid you're gonna shoot him. I thought black people knew that's why they had to chill the fuck out around cops, because they get their ass kicked too easily. I mean, it's not right for the cops to do, but you don't want to get shot either. Fuck it. There's a lot of drugs and guns and shit going on. The fucking in the hood. Fuck, that's all the people I worked with from Patterson talked about. A bunch of Bloods and Crips. They were my friends too. I worked lots of jobs. I was also often one of the only white people there. I guess a lot of white people I knew were more privileged than they realized, because I was always working in sports arenas and or Panera Breads or whatever, minimum wage jobs, food service. But I didn't mind because I met a lot of cool people. Just because most of my coworkers were Blood or Crip affiliated and had jail tats and whatnot. It doesn't mean anything. Just where they grew up. They're Jersey people, basically. But I thought this was kind of an understood thing. But suddenly, just 1 or 2 years ago, I can't even talk about this anymore. It's people who grew up in New Jersey, Northeast New Jersey, not exactly a nice area. We're talking about how privileged they are. When I'm thinking about walking down abandoned train tracks, drinking vodka out of fucking a hobo shoe, basically, playing stickball, broken buildings, just everything sucking. Half of my friends' parents were immigrants. half the school don't even speak English. It's just getting worse there too in Kearney. You know, I spent a lot of time on the wrong side of town. It was just the Spanish side of town. You know, it was a multicultural area. And unless you lived in the manor, I don't think any of us felt too privileged growing up there. And we knew everyone, didn't matter what color your skin were. We thought, yeah, fuck those privileged fuckers. Grew up in the manor, go to private school, act too good for Kearney, because they are. That's what privilege is. Getting rich, pampered, private schools. Go wherever you want for college. You can get arrested, you always get bailed out because your dad knows someone or whatever. Owing money thrown at your career because you want to do some showbiz bullshit that you're not talented for, but you got the money to just do it again. That's what privilege is. And you don't have to be white to get that. You don't have to be black to not have it. And some people earn their way to those positions too. It's really, who am I to judge? But it's different when you're growing up around a bunch of kids who just Jersey trash, shit talking everyone. But I studied social sciences in college. I took many classes on this. I never once heard the term white privilege ever. It was just nothing. You think one of my many black professors, the dean of my university, who talked about racism and all this stuff. I never once heard white privilege. It just wasn't uttered. It wasn't too that long ago. I read lots of textbooks. I read lots of literature. I was keeping up with feminist literature. I got in arguments with, for some reason, a lot of my literary analysis course I took. For some reason, it was some fat, middle-aged, seemed a very arrogant woman who just kept giving us like third-wave feminist literature and making us think men suck. I just argued with her every day. It was hilarious. I just told her how she's a sexist and whatnot, because she was, and hopefully that 19-year-old shithead failed out of college taught her a lesson. But still, I was still, seriously. People started saying, wait, Dan, you don't believe in white privilege? And I'm just asking, what the fuck are you talking about? Can you just explain it to me? Because, this sounds like some kind of academic field that snapped into thin air or something, because these sciences have been ran about for like 50, 60 years, most of the modern ones. I guess it's the civil rights movement, which no one seems to study that anymore. So I'm just asking people, what is white privilege? Can you just explain it? And of course, I just get a bunch of salon.com links probably. Huffington Post explaining it. I'm like, no, can you explain it in your own words? Or where did you learn this in the first place? Why am I supposed to? Just think for a second. No, trigger. You're racist. I'm like, what are you talking about? So, where was I? I was going somewhere. You know, it's funny, even, it's still going on. People say, wait, Dan, you don't believe in white privilege? I'm like, what do you, why should I? I don't believe in anything unless someone can prove it, or, you know, it's reasonable enough to not to withstand scrutiny and logic and analysis, and there should be sources and some kind of explanation. It should be a science. But if you just say you're privileged just because you're born a certain skin color, so that makes you different from everybody else, no matter what. I realized this right away. I'm like, do you understand what you're saying? You're a racist. That you're literally trying to tell me I'm wrong, I'm ignorant about something, because I'm not judging people by the color of their skin, and nothing else is a primary criteria. And this is the first time I heard white privilege. It's like, wait, that's just, what are you, racist? And just say this, and you know, I'll go on Facebook feeds of what, Gawker and shit. They have white people, white shame parades, and I'll just say, you know, you're racist. You're racist. My God, I've never seen so many racists together at once. Why are you all racist? What the fuck, you racist piece of shit? I'll just some fucking black African exchange student. I don't know with the Portuguese people. I don't. Well, Latino now. I'm from the East Coast. Just call them Hispanic, which is even more offensive. You want to offend someone, call them Brazilian. But seriously, just hearing people run their mouth about white people, or I see some of these posts go on, get posted, and someone will say, "Oh, here, get ready for the white people to come here and say that's not fair. Stop generalizing me. I'm not racist. I'm married to a black person. I have black children. Why would you think I'm racist? That's horrible. People look at me different down the street." And you know what people say? Well, that's because you're privileged. How dare you try to, you know, elevate yourself to my inferior place in society. And you know, there's not this, I don't really understand if this is a lack of communication, a lack of understanding of what racism is, or, you know, this is what PC police are about. If you ever, every time someone asks me, what, you don't believe in white privilege, Dan? I'm like, fuck no. I don't believe that you're racist. I don't remember you're a racist. And you're white, so you don't think you earned anything? But you worked from nothing. You had a tough family life. A lot of privilege I could remember. Worked out well for yourself because you worked hard and you're smart. It's called your own merit. And if you just think you were privileged because you were white, that undermines the sense of your own achievements. You know, your sense of worth. Of, do you achieve things on your own, or are they given to you by, you know, I don't know, I never really had that many white bosses in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure I missed a lot of jobs because I was white. Most jobs I was a minority white person. I worked at Red Bull Arena. Great job, to be honest, just because the soccer hooligans are hilarious. So you don't let them stab you. I was one of the only white people there. If I say this, people assume I'm racist. And I'm like, no, it's cool, you know. I mean, I felt like everyone else, we just all had to work a job. And hey, they were hiring. I don't give a shit. I wasn't work with black people. I get along with them because they're not calling people racist all the time. But, this is just my opinion. The one thing that I was curious as, a social scientist should, was how did this come about? Where was this? Because I study English literature. I know how to write. I wanted to be a journalist. I don't think they exist anymore. I can detect when all of a sudden everyone starts speaking in terms that they didn't figure. That was someone said that just they're the memes that got propagated, and just one day it was everywhere. Everyone who was white was privileged, and I'm just standing there like, I know people selling books on campuses about this now. All the classes apparently undercover Marxist stuff. That sucks, but I've said this several times past 6 months. Where did this start? Because I can look online at white privilege articles get linked around. It's always just some rich black fat lady with tenure who's probably fired everyone else under her, just saying how white people suck while being published all across America every day. Like, okay, fuck you, lady. Seriously, shut the fuck up, you racist piece of shit. You probably, what have you even read? You dumbass. Well, that's not, I know she didn't learn that on her own. Someone who thinks they're a race relations person or feminist or a teacher, and they use their credibility to tell everyone that they're born evil. I don't know if there's a heaven or hell, but seriously, that's the kind of person that would go to hell and deserves it, because that's some satanic shit. And how dare anyone be a university professor teaching racism in the halls of American classrooms that are becoming increasingly less diverse, apparently, because all the white males are dropping out, not showing up, not getting accepted. I mean, they're white, and white people are really going to be a minority across the country in 10 years or something? Alright, enough of that. I realized, man, we're up on some stupid bullshit that everyone believes because they're always on Facebook or watching fake news just appears. Oh, there's only 6-8 sources that it could come from. It's probably Viacom's fault. They do all that Daily Show bullshit. I hate them. Fuck them. I just assumed that, but you know what I saw one day? I figured it out. Here, I'll just show you. Here's MTV News. Did you know they had a news station? Wow, it sounds almost like it'd be fake news. And these guys don't look like journalists, but it's the news. I guess this is what young people watch now for their fake news. They're not smart enough to stay up for Stephen Colbert and John Oliver. Let's just go to the bottom, because this is 6, 7, 8 months old. Let's see what we have here. Welcome to MTV News. Great. I feel so welcome. Okay, what's wrong with her? Decoded with Franchiza Ramsey. I don't know what she's decoding. It sounds like she's afraid of me because I'm white, though. That looks weird. What's this? Are fried chicken and watermelon racist? Decoded. So this is the debut journalism by this up-and-comer fake news lady. Is just a black teenager going in front of chicken and watermelon. Okay, I'm gonna skip over some stuff here. Alright, there's a Chris Pratt. Okay, I get Jurassic Park was coming out. Can you change your race? Does race affect your dating life? The skinny on sugar. Okay. 13 things white people take for granted. 5 months ago, 320,000 views. Thanks, Viacom. Obama says the N-word. Blah blah. Prison for poor people. Wait, are white people there? How do you handle a racist joke? Black churches and white terrorism. Was that racist? Paula Dean, brown face. 10 excuses to deny racism. If microaggressions happen to white people, isn't this? This is just a macro aggression by Viacom. This how racist is YouTube? Don't blame the criminals for getting arrested. Where am I? If famous movie characters were black. 5 things you should know about racism. Feminism. When people congratulate themselves for not being racist. Should all Native Americans mascots be banned? Because what Native American should be proud of their culture? It's still around. We name all our weapons after them. Come on. It's just we're Americans here. The VO. She's at least she's reporting on the VMAs, so she got off the racism beat for a while to keep the populace informed. Is Miley Cyrus human evolution? Kanye, I always wonder why people talk about this guy like he's a real. This is stupid now. Should be afraid of Muslims. Emmys. Hip hop beef. Superheroes of color. Racist Halloween costumes. Black Lives Matter. It's just okay. I just, I skipped over a few things because they were just about the VMAs or Jurassic Park. Well, that was about, the past 7 months? Literally 7 months straight of the MTV News channel. Which is just talking about white people sucking and getting 500,000 views. Why? I guess maybe this news team is just of 2 white people and some black chick. I don't know if they have shared editorial authority over this. They sure do have a lot of good production values and lots of views. I'm sure MTV, trusted them to do this all on their own. Or maybe they're just reading fucking scripts written in the Viacom laboratory where the Dems go and make sure keep racism in the world, because they've been doing this since the Civil War. You know why people think Abraham Lincoln's a tyrant? Because he had to go after the free press. Because when he was running for re-election, trying to end the war, he knew he was the only man to do it, and he was the first Republican president. That he had to get these fucking Salon.com MTV news fuckers, because they were the Dems in New York City. They were rich there. Dems in the South, slave owners, were rich there. So they were obviously in cahoots, because they're the rich man's party. And they try to undermine the war effort and make Lincoln lose re-election so a Dem could come in and surrender. The way they did that was easy. They owned so many newspapers in New York, they changed all the headlines to be about Irish privilege and Italian privilege. They were poor immigrants in the same neighborhoods, and then people went around saying that the free black men are getting too much, or raping white women and getting welfare and shit. Just textbook stuff. Textbook. That's a Democratic Party strategy book. So I guess it's always been there. And then this is, you ever hear about the New York City draft riots? That's how they happened. That's why they started. It was because of racial agitation between immigrant ethnic enclaves in order to undermine American solidarity and Reagan the election. No Obama. Abraham Lincoln said, "You guys are traitors. We're at war. These guys are rebels. I'm gonna put the rebels down. America will be whole again. But you're doing everything in your power to just make everyone just hate each other, make democracy not work, make people not believe in the American dream. And I know slavery is evil. Everyone should have equal opportunity. I'm Abraham Lincoln. Trust me, I'll work this out before I go back to heaven. It's what I'm here to do." And he did. And then the Democrat killed him, of course. But hey, at least Lincoln shut down this garbage and just threw him in jail or something. I don't know. Should fucking send him to Moscow, and that's probably where the stuff comes from, to be honest. I just want to put that out there. So, if you stayed here for the whole lecture, you now understand what white privilege is. No one was born with it. It was just invented just very recently. Well, it was just tweaked from a reliable headline thing. What they call Mad Libs. You just insert a word, a color, a race, an immigrant group. You insert it into this meme. Tell everyone it's true. And they can warp things that happen in their lives and other lives. So it makes sense if that's why. It's because they're privileged and I'm not. Well, then I'm gonna use my lack of privilege as some billionaire kid on a campus, some Ivy League campus, to just say that white people suck. Get in the news when I couldn't even get accepted into a shitty state university with 1310 on my SATs when I wasn't even there mentally. I couldn't even get accepted anywhere. It was very upsetting. I only realized a few months ago. Oh yeah, that's probably because I was white. Who needed the third highest SAT score in his class? Rejected from Montclair State University. Okay. I'm not mad though. I'm not racist. But these people, yeah, they're racist. The shit off the screen. So if anyone ever asks me or anyone ever just mentions fucking white privilege around me, they better be ready to get fucking triggered. Because trust me, there's no safe space when someone calls me a racist or something like that. Something I'm not. They don't know anything. People, complete strangers, can assume this bullshit about anybody now. And you know what? I don't hate. I'm just want to debate it. Thing is, I'm not a prejudiced person, but I know there's a very, very high chance that they're just gonna say well, do your own research. I'm like, I've studied this in college. I was a social science, it's an associate's degree. I studied under many great feminists and black sociologists and all this stuff, criminologists, whatever. So what am I missing? I didn't read the Huffington Post this morning. I didn't catch my MTV News. Oh, must have been an episode of The Daily Show. I shut off halfway in disgust. So then then they just say you're trolling. No, I'm not trolling. You're being trolled, not by me, by the fake news. Now, congratulations. Racism is thriving in America. And it's called many things, but white privilege, that's fucking racism. If you think a white person is better or worse than anyone else, based just on the color of the skin, you don't even know, maybe they were privileged, maybe they weren't. You can just ask them, or how about you just mind your own fucking business? Check your fucking privilege. How about that, huh? And before, at least rich, poor, black, white, brown, whatever, I don't cares. We're all Americans. America is a nation of immigrants, not of slaves and slave masters. Because, white people in the South, they weren't part of the Dem establishment. They were competing with the slaves for jobs. Does that sound like a very privileged life they must have had? Because, they were... what these guys did? Okay, so these guys couldn't read. They didn't have any economic opportunity. They owned no land. Basically, they couldn't vote. They had no freedom. And, we learn nowadays that, oh yeah, well, those poor white men and women, those white families living next to these poor black people and the slaves escape. Don't worry about that. Underground Railroad, I'm sure no white people had anything to do with that, but they all hate each other. You want to know a secret? I'm a musician. They didn't hate each other. They learned. Well, I'm sure some did, but it seems like a lot of them were just amazed at each other, how much they had in common. They learned country, blues, guitars, pianos. They heard the songs from the African, rhythm and slave songs and call and response, and we're being taught these string instruments. And then what this is called? It's called the birth of all the music that is cool, Americana. Literally every genre. I can't even go over it. It'll be 8 hours long. It seems like it wasn't just the black people in the plantations singing their, sad songs while getting whipped. That was part of it, but, there was a lot of sadness in the South. I'm sure the Civil War didn't help it, considering, I don't know, 1 million of them died. That was a huge amount of the population, and everything was burned down. But, you only hear about this one thing about history back in the day, and the media today. You only hear about the rich, the wealthy, the privileged. If you hear someone's opinion on who's privileged and why, guess what? That motherfucker is privileged to have his hate speech going out on the airwaves and being shared on Facebook. That's a definition of privilege, when everyone gets to hear your thoughts. The sad thing is, most people who seem to get in that position, the thoughts are not their own, even if they think they are. Just because everyone else is saying, well, this guy gets it, give him his tenure, give him the TV. And then and this guy, me, Oh, this guy doesn't get white privilege. Get him out of here. Just flunk him. Don't call him back. Don't accept his resume. He's a stupid Pollock anyways. He doesn't really understand anything. I mean, come on. Wake up, America. Stop believing this garbage and just read about the blues or some shit. Peace.